Hello, my ethnography project for cultural resource methods was focused on the Hispanic community in Central Arkansas, specifically their religious practices. And as it turns out, even though my focus was on Hispanics, and I used that word, the people with whom I've interacted so far are Mexican and make a clear distinction between their Hispanicity and their Mexican nationality. I am choosing this topic because I am particularly interested in the Hispanic American community's lack of interest in assimilating into the larger culture. There's a lot of code switching going on. If I can apply that linguistic term to cultural practices, code switching is a word that we use in linguistics, which is one of the four fields of anthropology. Code switching means that someone is bilingual to the point that their mental scapes are able to switch immediately, to use part of that word, to switch immediately from one cultural communication process to another cultural communication process, from all of the body language and paralanguage, including the spoken language and implied meanings of things that are specific to one cultural group or the other. You've probably heard people often in public speaking a certain language and then immediately being able to switch to another language and communicate with two different kinds of cultural conversations going on simultaneously. So that's what code switching refers to, is being able to go from one language to another language simultaneously, and even carry on those, simultaneous conversations in those two different languages. So I'm applying this word here to cultural practices. And my interest is the fact that Hispanics in general are able to code switch in terms of cultural participation, but in general, they, as a community, do not seem very interested in becoming American, or, according to what I've learned from my conversation partners, the word actually should not be American when we refer to people from the United States, but it should be estadounidense, which means United Statesian. That word is probably not something that you're going to find in the dictionary or the Urban Dictionary, United Statesian, but this is a word that's common to Hispanic people in America today. Again, there I go, calling this country America. I'm corrected so often when chatting with my Hispanic conversation partners that, hey, Mexico is America, Brazil is America, Canada is America. And so there actually have been some heated debates that I have been told about. I haven't been part of them, but in some of the conversations that I've had while pursuing this topic, I'm told that people get very upset when someone from Mexico or someone from Guatemala or Honduras or any of the Central American countries, people who are here as immigrants, will say, I'm American. What do you mean American? I'm American. Maybe I'm a Honduran American, but I'm an American nonetheless. So anyway, I'm interested in these nuances and the Hispanicization of society, and perhaps I can coin a term, I'm not sure if I'm coining it, but the Catholicization of society too, since most of these Hispanic immigrants are Catholic. I'm interested in the long term, not necessarily with this ethnography project, but this is the nascency of it. I'm interested in the long term in looking at what our country is going to be like in 50, 100 years from now with the Hispanic population, both first generation, second, and third, all of those generations becoming, reproducing and making more United States citizens, but still with very, very deeply connected roots and code switching to their Mexican heritage or their Honduran heritage or Guatemalan, etc. So that was the motivation for this project. My focus in the conversations that I've had with my two respondents was their experiences in a day in their life, really. What sorts of feast days or holidays are important? What sort of activities do they do with their families? What do they see as Estado Unidense type things that they do? What do they see as Mexicano type things, or Chicano or Latino, or, what do these words mean? And what are their motivations for their actions? So I asked my respondents to simply tell me, start with the calendar and tell me what some of the important holidays are that they observe. And one of my respondents was Catholic, a practicing Catholic, and another one of my respondents is not, he's not an atheist, he's not agnostic, but he certainly doesn't practice any sort of religion. His mother and his pater, stepfather, the person who acts as the socially recognized father for my student, he is. They were both reared in the Catholic faith, but they do not rear their children in the Catholic faith. And so Andres, this is my second respondent, from whom you will not hear today, proclaims that he is not Catholic. But one thing that I noticed while I was conversing with him was that many of the holidays and party days and festival days and feast days that he participates in his household are very much a part of the Catholic folklore and festival textbook that I'm using as one of my resources for my written ethnography that will come at the end of the semester. So anyway, he says, I'm not Catholic, but he has so many different holidays and feast days in his household that he doesn't really know the origin of. It's just something that he thinks of as Mexican. So that's another nuance of this that I'm going to hopefully look into more as I continue this research into the future, and hopefully make a dissertation out of the Hispanicization of Central Arkansas, or Arkansas in general, with, a look at all of the areas in the Louisiana Purchase territory. So let's get on with it. I'll let you hear from Oscar Gomez, one of my respondents, who is the practicing Catholic. He actually told me lots and lots of things, but I've chosen a section of his first interview that actually reminded me of mumming in Ireland. And so I've chosen to share that with you today. So let's go to the next slide and get started.